Hello students, today we're going to go over different stages of clay from the soft plastic clay to what it's like when it comes out of the kiln and is pretty and colorful and shiny, and all the things you need to know about the different drying stages of clay that will help you be successful in this class. Let's start with this clay here. We should already know what this is called because we went over it earlier in the week. This is the clay from the clay trash can, and it is called plastic. It is soft, it is workable, you can mold it, you can join it together. This is the first initial stage of clay. It is soft and has a lot of moisture in it. Okay. The second stage of clay is this pot right here, this little bowl. This is called leather hard. And leather hard is the second drying stage of clay. Okay. One thing that's really important to remember is that clay has to be the same consistency if you're going to join it. If you've learned nothing else from the clay unit, I want you to know that, for example, you cannot join this plastic clay to this leather hard clay. It might seem like it wants to stick, but it is not going to be a good, successful thing for you to do. And the reason is because they are different consistencies. Okay? This clay has a lot of moisture in it. And when I say moisture, I mean water. This clay has less moisture and less water in it, meaning that the drying times and the drying rates are different. This is going to dry faster because it has less water. This is going to dry slower because it has more water. And if I were to join them together, this one's going to dry faster. This one's not going to dry as fast, and what's going to happen is you're going to get a big crack in your project. Okay, so the most important thing you can remember is clay must be the same consistency when you join it. Leather hard clay. Leather hard clay is the perfect stage for carving because it is dry enough that it will hold its form. So if I wanted to carve something in here, let's say I wanted to carve the letter B for my last name, it's going to nicely hold that form, unlike plastic clay. So leather hard clay isn't good for joining. I can't really, I can manipulate it a little bit, but I can't really manipulate it anymore. But it still has moisture in it, just not as much as the plastic clay, and it's perfect for carving. Whereas my plastic clay over here, if I were trying to do the same thing, if I was trying to carve the letter B, I can do it, but it's just not going to be as easy because the clay is still soft and it can still move around, and I'm not going to get these nice crisp lines like I would get on my leather hard clay. The drying stage of clay is what we call bone dry. Right? This clay is like a rock, okay? And this is what your clay piece will be in the stage before it goes in the kiln. So there's not a lot of moisture in it, and you can see it changed color because all the moisture has been sucked out of it. But I gotta tell you, I still see students who really want to join plastic clay to the bone dry clay. Like they think, I'm just gonna get a whole bunch of slip here, and I'm going to scratch and slip, and if I put enough slip on here and on here and I blend it together like really good, it'll, as long as I get enough slip in there, this will work. Okay, this will not work. This is a recipe for disaster. As soon as this clay starts to dry, you're going to get a very large crack right here, and because this is already dry and this is drying at a much different rate, again, you're going to get cracking. Okay, so let me just reiterate that again. Clay must be the same consistency when you join pieces together, and they must be plastic. This is like a rock. You're not going to join two pieces of bone dry clay together. Never going to happen. Okay. All right, let's look at the fourth stage of clay. So we have our plastic, we have our leather hard, we have our bone dry. Okay. Once this bone dry clay goes into the kiln, it is going to come out and it is going to look like this. This is called bisqueware. It has gone through the firing process one time, and now it is completely void of moisture. This still has a little bit of moisture in it, but once it goes into the kiln, it sucks it all out. And now you have something that could hold liquid. This could hold liquid. If you listen, okay, it makes a nice pingy sound. Okay, you're not going to get that from your bone dry clay. Okay, once your bisqueware comes out of the kiln, it is ready for glazing. Okay, we'll talk about glazing at a different time and how that works, but you'll paint the glaze onto here, and glaze is a lot different than paint. Okay? So you'll paint the glaze on here. It's going to go through the kiln again, okay? And it's going to come out looking like this. This is called glazeware. And glazeware, when it comes out, it is shiny and smooth, and it has like a glass-like texture because glaze is not paint. Glaze is a chemical compound that reacts to heat and oxygen. It oxidizes in the kiln, and what happens is it melts that glaze onto your ceramic piece, and it comes out looking all pretty and shiny and colorful. Right, so this is the final stage. Again, you can put liquid in here. You can put this in the microwave or the dishwasher, and it will hold its form. It will never change its form. And this is like the most unfragile stage. I mean, you can still obviously drop it and smash it, but it's not fragile like when it's in the bone dry stage. Okay, so now you know all 5 stages of clay, and this will help you along as we get into our first project in working with clay. So just a quick review: we got plastic, leather hard, to bone dry. These 3 are before the kiln, and then you have your bisqueware and your glazeware that have been fired one time, and then it will go through a second time until it's completely finished.